honor your father and mother, you are going to live long. Who believes that if you honor your father and mother, you're going to live long? Why? Why do you think you will live long if you honor your father and mother? Honor your father and mother, you are going to live. It's a command with a promise, and the promise and the person who gave it is God, and so God answers. Actually, I got an answer. The answer that is true. Brother Pippen's answer is very true and is very correct. There's also another answer which kind of surprised me. I had no idea that this is what happens when you don't obey your commandment. But I won't tell you what that is. We will watch that in the video today. So the distortion that we're looking at today is mind reading. Mind reading, thinking that you know what somebody else is thinking. I would like to see the hands of those who are married. Those who are married. Okay. All right. So we have, yes, those who are married. Okay. Put your hands down. How many of you know exactly what your spouse is thinking? And I'm asking those that are married because they live with their spouses. You live with the person that you're married to. So how many know exactly what the other person is thinking? No one. Yes. And this is true. I don't know what Elder Aaron is thinking, despite the fact that he is my husband and he has no idea what I am thinking. But a lot of times we do mind reading, which is assuming that you know what the other person is thinking. So mind reading means assuming what someone else is thinking without evidence. There's no evidence, or there's a little bit of evidence, but it's not sufficient for you to draw that particular conclusion. We impulsively interpret someone's reaction to us as negative and believe that they don't like us without evidence for this judgment. And this is jumping to conclusions. For example, Sister Eva came to church today. She didn't say hi to you. Now, and then you say she doesn't like me. Is this a logical conclusion to come to? No. Why might she not have said hello to you? Yes, maybe she was preoccupied with something. Why else might she not have said hello to you? Maybe she didn't see you. She genuinely didn't see you. Yes, Sister Charlene, I saw your hand. Exactly. Maybe she thought you were having a conversation with someone else and she didn't want to interrupt. So now you are thinking, you are jumping to conclusions with absolutely no evidence. So this is mind reading, and we must not do this. Yes, Brother Jared. Okay, so I greet everyone else and then I don't greet you. Ah, okay. Can I know for sure why they didn't greet me? Like Brother Jared is saying, someone comes, you are sitting, they greet everybody else, but they don't greet you. Can you know for sure why they didn't greet you? Yes, exactly. Amen. So, Brother Jared, this is what we are saying. You cannot know why they didn't greet you. You can assume that they didn't greet me because they don't like me. But you don't know that for sure until the person actually tells you that I didn't greet you because I didn't like you. Amen. No, I didn't say that it's not hurt. It hurts, yes. However, while it hurts, you must not you must stop yourself from jumping to conclusions. Sister Charlene, I saw your hand. Yes. Yes. Yeah. their thoughts. Amen. So quickly. Amen. That's actually very correct. I think it's on another slide. What Sister Charlene is saying that we judge people based on behavior, but we judge ourselves based on intention. Because you know your intention. So you can judge yourself based on your intention. But when you judge someone else, you judge them based on behavior. And their behavior, there are so many reasons why someone can do something. So you can never really know why someone is doing something. So keep that in mind, that yes, the behavior is showing me this, and I think this, but I can never really know unless the person tells me that this is what they intend and this is what they feel. Okay. Most people think that they are better at mind reading than they actually are. Therefore, it is very easy to jump to conclusions without verifying the truth of your assumptions. So the thing that I want you to remember is you are not as good at mind reading as you think you are. Everyone thinks they are good at mind reading. I think I'm good at mind reading, but I'm not. So every time you are tempted to do this, just remind yourself, I'm mind reading. I'm not good at mind reading. So, and then you stop going down that road. Don't keep going down that road and allow the devil to plant all sorts of ideas into your head. Amen. Amen. So now let's watch the video. It's going to be about 10 minutes.
Ways. Well, we have 6 more. Ways. Well, we have 6 more to go. We'll be a little quicker on these. They're a little shorter. The first 4 have to do with loving God and emotional intelligence, but the last 6 have to do with loving others and emotional intelligence. Let's go through these last 6 executive limitations. The 5th distortion is mind reading. And I don't know that I probably should define that a little bit. We are very poor, humanity is, in reading motives. The Bible kind of tells us this. It says, man looketh on the what? The outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. And there have been studies done on people being able to accurately read someone else's mind, even when they're around them, and they're only 1 in 4 chance that they're going to be accurate if they don't know them well. If they do know them well and they see what's going on and they see their facial expression, it's about an 80% chance they'll be accurate. But still not 100%. If you think you can read your spouse's mind 100% of the time, you've got some emotional distress coming your way. But there's a commandment that helps us with this mind reading. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. What would be the one-word principle you would choose for this one? You know, this one doesn't have a thou shalt not. But I actually chose a word, respect would be good too. But the word that I chose is a word that is not so positively looked on in society today. But it's very clear that God created this. He wanted this as part of his system of government by putting this commandment here. And the word that I chose, the one word, was authority. Because it goes beyond just the 10 Commandments. The Bible talks about authority in the workplace. It talks about authority in the church. It talks about authorities in government. And when these authorities do not tell us to do things, to violate the law of God, then we are subject to those authorities, to respect and follow this out. But the world has created recently, in the last particularly 20 years, and it's really progressing, they have put a commandment in there, a principle that they think is far above any of the 10 Commandments. In fact, this is what's called morality to them, and it's called equality. By the way, equality is nowhere in the 10 Commandments. And so they try to produce equality in outcomes. It might be equality in income. If incomes are different to them, it's immoral if they're looking at that aspect of things. And then there's equality in roles and equality in this and that. God did not create us to be, we are equal in some ways. We're all to be equal as far as God is no respecter of persons. We're equal as far as under the law. None of us are going to be able to pass through the judgment seat of God without following his law by his grace. But this idea of equality will produce social injustice. They call it social justice, but it causes social injustice because we have to apply certain rules to others and not to others. And so we have to try to produce this equality in outcomes. And it produces chaos. It ends up producing a lot of chaos and a lot of unintended consequences in the world. That's why God created commanding angels and angels for different functions. Lucifer, we're told in commanding, how he differentiated the commanding angels was by height. Lucifer was the tallest of them all, and then there were taller ones around them. And there was the non-commanding angels. They were all important. In fact, a lot of times we think authority means importance. No, in God's patriarchal system, it was those who were in the most authority who would be first to die for their families, because they thought they were the least valuable. We sometimes connect value with authority. God does not connect value with authority. Value is not based on authority. It's just a role. It's a role. And those roles are best fit by certain individuals, etc. What about authority in families? There is by the way, speaking of role dissatisfaction, it's an all-time high. One of the questions we ask people that come to our program is, are you happy with your role in life? And I can tell you this equality teaching that's gone through universities and all of this sort of thing, it actually produces role dissatisfaction in people that didn't have role dissatisfaction before. And so it makes them more dissatisfied because somebody has this or does that and I don't, and it's not fair, and so they're always going into this not fair aspect of things. And role dissatisfaction is at an all-time high. You know, sometimes we can learn some things from the animals. You know, dogs can be very happy even though they're not the authority figure in the home. And when they think they're the authority figure in the home, you need to realize that's going to be an unhappy dog. It's going to be a very unhappy dog, and it's going to be an unhappy family as well, and those sorts of things. Harvard Mastery of Stress Study, significant disease by age 50. This was Harvard now. 90% of those who did not have a good relationship with their mother and father have significant diseases by age 50. Age 50, major diseases in 90% that don't have a good relationship with father and mother. Good relationship with one but not the other, you've cut it down to 50%. But if you don't have a good relationship, or I should say you've cut your disease rate down to 50% if you have one or not the other. But if you have a good relationship with both father and mother, only 25%, 1 in 4 chance you'll have a major disease. This is significant. These are people that are happy with their roles and have a respectful, loving relationship with their mother and father. That commandment has been shown to be true. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And we need to realize authority figures most often in our life, there may be some exceptions, but most often are loving, self-sacrificing individuals that are actually out for our own good. And even if they're not, if we obey them in accordance with God's will, when it doesn't go against that, it can produce harmony and far better emotions. Distortion number 6 is fortune teller error. Oh, by the way, the connection, I didn't make the connection here. Whenever we violate God's principles of authority, it actually is caused by us mind reading the authority figure. And we need to recognize we're pretty poor in mind reading. Whenever a child decides, I'm not going to follow my parent in that regard, the child either believes that the father or mother is ignorant and they know more than they do, or that they just don't want them to have fun, or they are not out for their best good. And children will easily come up with these things that are actually false, but yet they are mind reading their parents, and that is what produces the discord. And this is what happened in regards to Lucifer and Christ. Who was the authority figure when you compared those two? It was Christ. But then Lucifer was going around saying, this isn't fair. He doesn't really need to be in charge of us. This isn't really right. And by the way, I think the reason why he wants to be in charge of us is he just likes being the authority person. By the way, why do you think he was thinking that way about Christ? There's a psychological term called projection. Whenever we mind read somebody else, it's often because we're thinking if we were doing that or had that same expression, this is what we would be thinking. And so we often in our mind reading are actually displaying to others what's in our own heart. And because he wanted to be the authority figure in his own heart, he thought for sure that's why Christ needed to be the authority figure. And so he started all this discord as a result of mind reading Christ. This is why it was very shocking for the angels, and particularly the fallen angels, to see Christ come down to this earth as a baby, subject to the Ten Commandments, who was now voluntarily putting himself in submission to two faulty, sinful parents. And it was like, wait a minute, if he was all about authority, this isn't quite making sense. And then when they could see his character being displayed, all of these layers of deception and mind reading started coming off. And that's why it was over with as far as the angelic host. Once that it is finished was there, all of those distortions were gotten rid of because they could see who Christ really was, and all of those mind reading accusations were found to be completely false and unwarranted, and actually revealing the heart of Lucifer himself. So that's why mind reading and authority are connected. And if we get authority right, it's going to help us a whole lot in regards to mind reading. Giving the authority figure the benefit of the doubt and not labeling them with all of these bad motives that they may not have at all. Distortion number 6, fortune teller error. Let me tell you a little bit about fortune teller.
All right. Amen. Any comments? Nothing?
Ways. Well,
all right. Now, the first thing that
we have 6 more to go. We'll be
here is the idea of authority. And, you know, I find it very fascinating how God is able to take one thing and do so many things with just that one thing. Just that one commandment, he's able to address so many issues, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, in that one commandment. So if a child learns to submit themselves to the authority of their parents, then this will help them with mind reading. Because like he said, it is true that the reason why we don't want to submit to authority is because we don't really believe that they have our best interests at heart. And if you believe this about God, you will not follow his commandments. You will always do whatever you want. Another thing that happens in this world is that authority is made to be synonymous, the same as value. For example, the CEO in a company has a lot of authority, right? The cleaner. Does the cleaner have a lot of authority? No. Who is more valuable? The CEO. Is it true that the CEO is more valuable? No. It's just that we have set things up that way that we think that the CEO is more valuable because he is the CEO. Let the cleaner not come to work for 2 months. Then you will see, or even 1 day, then you will see how valuable the cleaner is. So we must not adopt this thing. God places the same amount of value on everybody. Your value is not determined by your car, your salary, your clothes, all of these things. They don't. This is what the world does. The world takes someone, they give them authority, and then they give them a certain value through their salary, the perks that they get, the advantages, and all of this. Then we see this and we start thinking that this person is more valuable than this person who doesn't have those same things. But the Bible makes it very clear that this is not true. And this is the same even in the home. One of the reasons why women find it difficult to submit to their husbands is because of this thing that authority is synonymous with value. It's like, what? You are more important than me? No, you're not. And then there are all these struggles. But just because the man is an authority, it doesn't mean that he's more valuable, neither that it doesn't mean he's more intelligent, neither that does it mean he's good at everything. He is just there because God, this is the system that was put in place by God. And the Bible actually says that. Jesus says, he that would be greatest, let him be the least. So if you are in a position of authority, you are supposed to be the least in that system. You are not the most valuable. You are supposed to consider yourself the least valuable. And you should, like Christ, be able to do what he did. He left his glory, came down to heaven, submitted himself to 2 sinful parents, so for the benefit of other people. So God does not put authority in order for the person who's in authority to stomp on those who are under their authority. He puts authority for those who are under this person to benefit from the benevolence, the good leadership of the person who is in authority. Did I explain that clearly? Amen. Okay. The second thing that I found to be very interesting is how your relationship with your parents is related to your health. Imagine if you don't have a good relationship with your parents, you have a 90% chance of developing a terrible disease by the time you are 50. And I've actually seen this. When I listened to this, I started thinking of some of my relatives who I know who have a lot of diseases, and they don't get along with their parents. So imagine just getting along with your parents will decrease your ability to have a disease because they said you only have a 25% chance. So it will decrease by 75% your probability of having a serious disease by the time you are 50. So God knew what he was talking about when he said, honor your parents, because if you do this, then you will have a long life. So if you don't have a good relationship with your parents, I would encourage you to ask the Lord to help you to deal with this for your own health. If you're not going to do it for them, do it for yourself, for your own health. Amen. And then the last thing that he talked about, which I found to be interesting, is projection. Remember what the example that was given by my brother when he said that someone comes and they greet 2 people and they don't greet you, and then you're hurt. Now, what happens is when you mind read, you are projecting your own heart onto that person. So for example, if you wouldn't greet someone because you don't like them, if someone doesn't greet you, what are you going to think? Exactly. They're not greeting me because they don't like me. So whenever you mind read, take that as an opportunity to see what is in your own heart. And when you see what is in your own heart, then ask the Lord to help you to deal with it. If you are quick to think negative things about someone because they didn't do something, it means that you have those negative things in your heart and you need to deal with them. If you, for example, the example that we gave before where Sister Eva doesn't greet someone. Now, if you don't have if you don't have those negative feelings and thoughts in your mind, it's very easy for you to dismiss it as, you know what? I think Sister Eva was just preoccupied. So that's why she didn't greet me. She didn't see me. And then it will immediately leave your mind. Then the next time you see her next Sabbath, you are the one who will actually go and say, hi, Sister Eva. And you will not say, hi, Sister Eva. Last Sabbath, you didn't say hi to me. No, you will just come and say, hi, Sister Eva, how are you? And you will have the conversation and that's it. And then we move on. So ask the Lord to help you to stop projecting your own feelings. It's the same thing, for example, if you see people standing and talking and laughing, and then they happen to look your way. What do you think? But why do you think they're talking about you? Do you do that? See, the reason why you're thinking they're talking about you is because you do the same thing. So, so therefore, you are only projecting what you do. So ask the Lord to help you. So whenever you mind read, so first of all, remember this. Number one, you are not good at mind reading. So whatever you're thinking, it is probably not true. Number two, whenever you do mind read, you are projecting your own feelings. So remember that and ask the Lord to help you, either to go and ask the person, excuse me, I wanted to find out, are you thinking this? Or to help you to deal with the feelings without necessarily having to go to talk to the person. Amen? Amen. And this will prolong your life significantly. Are there any comments or any questions before we move on to the next part of our service? Okay, if there are no comments or questions, let's move on to our Bible verse. Brother Sam, can you put it on the screen? The Bible verse, the last slide. So we are using this opportunity to memorize Philippians 4, verse 8, I think.
Ways. Well, we have 6 more to go.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we're using it to memorize Philippians 4, verse 8. Yes, I was correct. So finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, and today we are adding whatsoever things are lovely. So true, honest, just, pure, lovely. Amen. So let's say it together for up to lovely. 1, 2, 3. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely. Amen. Brother Sam, can you remove it? Okay, all right, let's try and say it without looking. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are pure, just or pure? Just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely. Think on these things.